Amy. Hi. Emily. Don't give me that back.
Can't believe it. How you doing, buddy?
Lift Carly. Yes. Lift her.
How you doing? Huh?
Throw me up in this
Brad likes it. Hello there, Brad.
Light doesn't work. Yes, he is.
Is she moving?
She does. She is.
About time.
I know.
Now you actually look at
Yeah.
I am, and I can't. Glad all the family got it.
Yeah, who's it? Yeah, okay.
Another quick sell. You guys will have to find it.
Yeah, it's too cold. Yeah, buddy.
Pretty brown eyes down.
Good to see you.
Yeah.
Sunken my head in there.
How are you?
That's how you get it, your veins.
Sorry, teacher. I don't think you should feel
My
good
head
about
like half the
that.
time. Whose veins are those? Where is he? Leon.
No, I'm not playing with the toys right now. Because we're getting ready to have a dinner, okay? You want to sit in my lap or you want to sit on your own chair? Okay.
You should look here.
You can always hope.
Yeah. One party after another, huh?
Yeah.
We have parties getting baptized at the end of the month too, so we'll probably have a dinner. You know, about that, and then have a dinner right after. So you got to want something a little more nice. The last Saturday, but I didn't get It's just a family. Bring us out.
So if you majored, like I'm at a wedding,
You're providing that or something.
I think.
I know it is.
I think we are. I'm not sure.
Set it up.
I'm not sure of the whole menu.
Okay.
I just do it.
There's not
She's just trying to get everything ready.
Get your hand out of here.
What are you doing?
Feel pretty good.
We don't have very many of these reunions, so it's kind of fun when everybody comes.
Yeah.
Vera heard that her brothers and sisters, all of them are going to be here for Mother's Day. Stay home.
Oh, you've had plenty of time.
When Terry went to work and started thinking of all the bad things I could think of, Deloy. First off, I might say that, you know, Deloy, he came along after Dad and Mother had 3 daughters. And of course, when he came along, why, Dad figured that was the apple of his eye. He just couldn't think of anything better. And of course, as he went along, well, then he was able to take Elda's place as his right-hand man. And of course, I came along 4 years later after he did. And I was 4 years younger, and then I was small for my size, and so I didn't really count. So it went on, and we kind of grew up. And anyway, about the time Deloy got big enough that he could go hunting and fishing with Dad, why, of course, he being his right-hand man and the apple of his eye, why, he'd invite Deloy to come and go fishing or hunting, whatever they wanted to do. And anyway, I'll have to tell you this one story. That they went, Dad invited me to come and go hunting ducks with him. And of course, when he got invited to go hunting ducks, he invited me to milk the cows. And anyway, that's when back when the season opened, or when the opening opened early in the morning, just at daylight. They hunted ducks. Just about the time they started hunting ducks, I started milking the cows. And this is before we used the milking machine. So I started at the bottom of the barn, and I worked my way to the other end. Well, it was 1:30 in the afternoon by the time I got through that herd of cows. And needless to say, that was the last time those cows got milked that day. And then when Deloy and Dad came back, I says, I'm warning you guys, this won't happen again. But it did. And it wasn't so bad. After that, we got the milking machine so I could handle it. But I'll never forget that time. I tell you, by the time I got done milking, some of those cows had waited a long time, and those udders were full, and it took a long time to milk. But I finally made it, 24 cows. I went up through that whole bunch, milking by hand. Another thing that I thought about is after Deloy came home from the service, why he and Shelton and I decided to take a little trip up to Yellowstone. And anyway, we'd left at night, drove all night, and we got up there. We were just about to West Yellowstone in the morning, and all of a sudden we hit a big bump in the road. And then we could hear something dragging behind us. Then we looked out the windows, and just as we looked out the windows, there was a wheel went by us, one on each side. But anyway, about a block or so down the road, they finally stopped. I can't remember if they hit a tree or what, but we went and rescued them, and that was the wheels off of our boat trailer, and that's what we were dragging. So anyway, we had to end up taking the hubs off of the boat trailer, and taking the wheels and the hubs into West Yellowstone and have them welded up so that we could go on our way. Apparently Deloy's skills at welding hadn't gotten matured very well. We built that trailer so that it didn't hold and hit the bump. We had a big load of our camp gear and tents and everything on that boat, so we had to put a little weight there. That's what happened. But anyway, we went back to fish. Got the wheels back on the boat trailer, and we went on in, and we had a pretty good time. Fish were biting good out on Yellowstone Lake, and we really had fun after that, except at night when I'd go to bed. All I had for a mattress was one quilt on the hard ground. Oh, that did get hard. I never figured how I'd ever get through that, laying on that hard ground. But some way I did. Another little story I'd like to tell you about is I came home on furlough from the Army. Deloy and Vera and I decided to take a little trip over to Bear Lake, take the boat over, go for a boat ride, swim, and then have a picnic. Well, after we'd had our boat ride for a while, we decided to pull into one of the beaches there and go for a little swim. Eddie Lou and I and Deloy, we got out of the boat, and we were there swimming along. Deloy had to look up, and there the boat was. I could see that. Anyway, he immediately took off the boat swimming. And he didn't realize how far the thing had drifted out there, or how long it was going to take for him to catch it. But by the time he finally caught up to the boat, he was thoroughly exhausted. And I thought right then, that could have been the end of that. They weren't even married yet. That could have been the end of that relationship right there. But the way it was, he couldn't swim back to shore. He couldn't make that, and he couldn't catch up with the boat. I'm sure he could have swum a lot longer if he could have slowed down, but if he slowed down, he couldn't catch the boat. But that's just one of the two of the things that happened as we were growing up. Here a couple of years ago, right after I'd had my accident that next fall, we were up on Twin Lakes fishing. And Deloy, he was running the motor, and I was sitting up on the front of the boat with my feet down in the bottom, and all of a sudden Deloy's pole went shooting up over the edge of the boat out into the water. Deloy made one great big dive for that there fishing pole. Luckily, he caught the fishing pole, but in the process, he tipped me over. And you can imagine what happened to that boat when you all of a sudden put 500 pounds of weight on that one side. That boat tipped right up to where the water started running in before it finally settled back down. And I don't know what would ever happen if you had two old fat men out there in the lake, you know, struggling along, and neither one could swim very good anymore.
Don't forget to tell him I caught some fish.
Yeah. That was the big thing. He pulled the pole back in and he still had the fish on, and he got it. And so I guess everything turned out all right. I didn't get dumped in. It was just lucky I was able to grab the steering wheel on the boat as I tipped up, or else I would have went right in head first. We have had a lot of good times together, and a lot of memories that we can think about and talk about once in a while of things that have happened in the past. And it's been a good fun time, and I really have enjoyed it over the years. I think I better leave some time for somebody else, so we'll just call that good. I haven't seen any hands come down yet to tell me to quit. I think I better stop.
Up at the station, listen to these guys talk. Jake, I think you get a little bit off the program, don't you?
Yeah, I can tell.
Try to keep it down. Don't get us laughing so hard we have to go to the bathroom.
Well, they know I don't lie. That's the best part. Can you imagine what that would have looked like with Lloyd and Rex as that boat tipped over? Rex with one arm swimming around the circle. Lloyd little kicky clicks. Yeah, I think they went down. Well, talking about fishing. Deloy told me he built this here little smokehouse, and he says, those fish are really good smoked. So I took him over 6, and we put those there feet soaking that night and put them in the smokehouse the next morning. And he told me about what time they would be done, you know, about how many hours it'd take. Anyway, along come Elton Jensen, boy run off with Elton Jensen. Well, later on that night, I went over there to check the fish. All there was some skinny little heads hanging on hooks. They were smoked. And then being close to the deer hunting season, when I was first starting to hunt, Boy was my teacher. And we got up there and we got sit down. Now he says, when you see a deer, you tell me. And he says, if I see one, I'll tell you, and then we both shoot together. Okay. Well, I seen the deer and I told him. And we both got ready to aim and boom, he shot it. Well, he says, I waited for you to shoot. So then he seen a deer. So we got all ready. And boom again. He says, if I hadn't shot then, it would have got in the trees and we wouldn't have got it. And then he had that 53 ship, if any of you can remember that. I think it was a 53. And anyway, he put some leaves in the back spring so it sit up a little higher. And we went up deer hunting. And it had snowed a little skiff, and so it was a little slick. And I remember Cleon Jorgensen and that bunch was up there. And they were on horses, and they had started up the road ahead of us. Well, me and Dad and Cleon was in, Cleon Smith was in the back seat, and Lloyd fires that car up. And this is their go-to-meeting car. Anyway, we went up that road. He had to really get a run out to make it. And according to Cleon, he says it sounded, Jake, just like an airplane coming.
Well, there it was in the middle of the road. No, boy, he just went right out around, and these quaking asps was from 3 to 4 inches thick. They went right under the car. All it was roots sticking up behind, and he never slowed down. And right back on that road, and away we went. Then he digs, and he got that new Dodge truck. He had a little cattle rack on the side, and him and Elton Jensen had shot some deer down in the bottom of Turkey Trail. And anyway, while Lloyd drove that Dodge truck down there, that's where four-wheel drives just go to get those deer. And I can remember Eldon Jensen. Now Lloyd would run up that hill as far as he could go with that truck, just a spinning and a burning, and then he'd cut it sideways. Then he would put it in reverse and back up the hill as far as he could that way, just a spinning and a digging. Eldon Jensen was on the rack on the side, hanging on to keep it from tipping over. And he finally made it out of there. Then, what do you got to do when you get those deer? You got to bring them home and take care of them. Well, we had a hand grinder that you could grind the meat with, you know, and they're supposed to make hamburgers. Well, Lloyd says, this is too slow. He says, I'll weld a pulley on that. We'll put a motor on it. So, he welds a pulley on that thing. We're down in the mother's basement. And he plugs that in, and it's just a humming. And he shoves that meat down in, and then threw that hamburger and stuff all over the front of him, all over the ceiling. That's where we got that ground. Then he finally got a cover on it. These are the things that I remember about that guy. Yeah, that's all I better tell. Okay, Lon.
Yeah, some things sound familiar. Let's go. Alton, do you want to tell a little bit about Mom? Maybe even something about Dad, I don't know.
Boy, isn't this something for the whole family? See them. Can you hear me?
That's better.
My wife is back there saying she can't hear me. Guess I'm gonna have to get her a hearing aid. I wasn't complaining about me, but I can't hear, but I need to get a hearing aid also. But I would like to compliment Vera and Deloy on such a good job. It's a wonderful family which they have. And see that they sent 4 boys on a mission. And every one of the children married and sealed in the temple. That's really a wonderful compliment to them. I'd like to tell a little bit about Vera, what she was growing up. The way she's become such a, my wife's saying louder, Vera can't hear.
Can you get it here now?
Can you hear now?
Put it right to your mouth.
When she was growing up, she prepared almost all of her life to be a housewife. She liked to play house. There's one story, I don't know whether I should tell it or not. I got involved in it. We had a big side hill machine, a combine, and we used to pull up with 12 horses. We had a large back on top. The seat where the driver would sit and drive the horses. And then a place where we hold the burlap sacks, and then a place where the sacks were sold and put down the chute onto the ground. And then we had a place for level the machine and run the brakes and then lift the cutter ball up and down. It was quite a large platform, and Vera liked to use that as her playhouse. Well, this one day, her and her girlfriend, they needed another girl. And I didn't want to be involved. You know, Vera is awful convincing. She had some dresses of her mother's out there. She talked me into putting this dress on. And we should come up around in the shed. Our dad. You know what my nickname was from then on? He says, "Come on, Alice, let's go to work." Another thing, she came up with some ideas. When my parents would go on a little vacation or something, we had to do something special for them when they got back. One time we whitewashed the gate out front. And then there's one time she said, "Let's milk the cows." So we all milked them. They got home. So we took the bucket and set down under the cow ladder. She got a milk stool on one side and I got on the other side. And we started milking the bucket. Pretty quick, the cow lifted his foot and put right down the middle of the bucket. And we couldn't get her foot out. That ended up getting milking done. Just looking at Vera, does she look like she has a temper? Have you ever seen her lose her temper before? Well, but she doesn't like to be teased either. Well, I was teasing her. And, she got mad at me and picked up a clothes hanger and threw it at me. Down I went. And she went running into the kitchen. She says, "I killed him. I killed him." I don't know whether she remembers this or not. Well, these old telephone poles, they used to have a little green insulator that would screw on where the wire was tied to. Well, we were throwing that against the steel gate we had out inside of the house. And I don't remember just exactly how it happened, but I threw it trying to, and I missed the gate, and then she picked it up. I don't know whether she went on the other side of the gate, on the other side of me or what, but she picked that up and she threw it at that gate and it bounced off and I got it again. I've written down a few other things here. My memory, the older I get, the shorter it gets. Growing up, I liked to play Indians. And I thought those there headdresses that the chief would wear, well, I wanted to make me one of those. And I wanted it covered down with feathers. I guess you've heard about the feather story about Vera. But anyway, I like pheasant feathers and pretty colored feathers. You know, when I built that headdress, you know what I had to use? White chicken feathers. I don't remember whether I painted them with watercolors or cake coloring, but that's what I had to make it out of. My parents wouldn't let us have a color filter in there because she was scared of it. I've always wanted to ask Deloy a question. When they got married, the next day after they got married, he got up and went duck hunting. Did she ever forgive you? How did you talk to him to let me go hunting?
I don't think I have. I just left. She's still asleep.
Also, when we were growing up, we had to take turns doing the dishes. One time, I would wash the dishes and she'd wipe. And the next time, she'd wash the dishes and then I wiped. And when I washed, she'd always like to, just as soon as I put it over the drain, she'd take it a little bit lazy. I wanted to dry a little bit before I wiped it. You know, it's a heck of a lot easier to wipe it after it dries a little bit. You know what she'd do? When they get just about dry, she takes some water out, the rinse water, and pour over it. After they got married, they moved into an apartment up there in Oregon. And I spent a little time living with them while I was in college in the quarter.